Hey everyone, this is Daryl, aka The D from the Simply Incredible podcast, and today we're going over UFC Fight Night Hendricks versus Thompson. And I'd say overall mediocre, kind of at best. We had some highlights and kind of some lowlights. First fight, this is just the main card of it. First fight was Sean Spencer versus Mike Powell. Spencer was a big favorite going in. Mike Powell, I think he's 40, 41, 42, somewhere in that ballpark. And Powell won by a stoppage in the third round. Spencer won the first round. Powell got the second round. Third round, Powell continued to finish and finish the fight. But this is one of those fights that really frustrates me because it really should have stopped about 5 seconds earlier. I mean, Powell, Spencer was up against the cage. Powell just had him like elbows, knees. I mean, Powell literally stopped, looked at the ref, and said, and just kind of like, "Do you mean keep going?" And to me, it's like, when you get to that point, you really don't need to keep going. And he threw one more knee, which to Spencer's head, which again didn't need to happen. Sometimes the ref has to jump in and protect the fighters a little bit earlier. Sometimes they stop it too early, so there's a fine line there. But that one, I mean, when a fighter literally stops and looks at the ref and says, "You want me to keep going?" and the other fighter just is not doing anything. He wasn't out, but it didn't need to happen. It should have ended a little bit earlier. But Mike Powell with the win, a 40-plus-year-old man in there getting the win. That's pretty impressive against the young guys. Next fight, and there were 6 fights on the card, which is really surprising. Neither one of these guys I knew. Alex Nicholson versus Misha Sirkunov. Sir Sirkunov. I know. I don't know his name. Uh, this was an overmatch. Misha Sirkunov was, I mean, highly outclassed Nicholson to the point where I'm looking at like Nicholson. I don't think he should be in there on a UFC. He should be on an independent circuit somewhere. He was not ready for this stage. In the first round, he threw, and this is the most I've ever seen in a fight: 7 spinning elbows slash spinning back fist. I mean, it's by far the most I've ever seen, and I've been watching UFC since about 97, 98, something like that. That was around UFC 6, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that ballpark. And I'd seen some of the early ones as well at that time. It was just he should not he should not have been in there. And Sirkunov, it's really hard for me to tell for sure, but he seems like a guy that belongs, and he looks pretty good. But again, going against a guy that doesn't belong, it doesn't make you look great. But it was a second round submission by Sirkunov, and he looks like he's a big guy. He's a big, strong guy, and I think he might have something for the future. And tonight it was finally decided officially. CM Punk, aka Phil Brooks, he was there with his wife AJ Lee, former UFC superstars, both of them world champions in UFC, by the way. It's officially decided that he will fight Mickey Gall. The date yet not decided, so that's something to finally look forward to. I mean, he's been under contract for over a year now, and so they're looking at sometime this year. Because Gall fought early in the prelims and got the win, so it's official that they will have their fight. Next was in the flyweight. We had Joseph Benavides versus Zach Mikulski. Yeah, Zach Mikulski. Good fight. Not a great fight. Good solid fight. Benavides won by decision, and he said after the fight, which I totally agreed with, is it took him a long time to really get a good rhythm going and really get going. He said if it had gone another round, he would have probably knocked out Zach, and I totally agree with that. The first round, it was like he was really slow and just like he couldn't really figure it out. And by the time the third round came, he was in gear and going. And it's one of those things he definitely would have got a knockout. Well, maybe not definitely, but most likely would have gotten that knockout in the third if they had gone a fourth round. Next, we had light heavyweight. We had Ovince St. Preux versus Rafael Fujo, and I know I've seen him before, and I know I can never pronounce his name. But St. Preux won by unanimous decision. This is one of those frustrating fights for me. When you see a guy who's got an injury, you have to attack that injury. St. Preux threw a kick early in the fight in the first round, and he hurt his ankle. And they were speculating, was it his foot? Maybe he broke his foot or what? But um, Fujo he threw, I think, two kicks that I know of on that leg because St. Preux was not moving well at all. And then he quit. He quit throwing kicks at that leg. I mean, that was a spot to attack right there, and he wasn't moving well at all, and he quit attacking that spot. I don't know why. It really frustrated me when he did that, but he he had the opportunity, and for me, for my thoughts, he kind of blew that. And his corner, as far as I know, they never said attack that spot. Which, again, you see a spot where someone's wounded, you have to go for it when you're in a UFC fight. But anyway, St. Preux won by the unanimous decision, and he's a guy that I think if he's healthy, he's motivated, he has weight, and his weight is cut right. He's a guy I think could be really, really, really good, and I hope he does. I hope he does well. He seems like a good dude, and I hope he does well. Next, in the heavyweight division, we had Big Country Roy Nelson versus Jared Rosholt. This right here, and like I say, I've been watching UFC, training MMA for a long, long time. This may be the most boring fight I have ever seen. I mean, it was the first two rounds. I'm not sure if they actually connected with each other more than a couple of times. Roy Nelson was trying, and Jared was jogging. It really seemed like he was just trying like not to get hit. Can't blame him. I can't blame him. Roy Nelson, if he hits you, he can hurt you really quick. But it just the third round, Jared started attacking a little bit, but still trying to stay away at the same time. Nelson got the decision. Nothing to really talk about. I mean, it was not much going on. It really wasn't. Nelson, I mean not Nelson, but Roshaw tried to take down in the third round, and he hung on there, tried to get it. Nelson, big guy. He's more nimble than you would think for a guy that size. Couldn't get him down, and really, Jared had nothing for him. Really had nothing for him. But again, really a boring fight. And the headliner of the night was in the welterweight division. Is that right? Yeah, welterweight. Johny Hendricks versus Stephen Thompson. Good fight for the amount of time it lasted. And going in, I really thought Hendricks, I always kind of look at guys when they first come in. Do they look like their weight's cut good? Do they look like they have good energy? And do they look like they're a little soft? He looked really good. I was like, okay, he's gonna have a good fight tonight. And just based off of that, I thought I think there's a real good chance he'll get the win. Thompson, I've seen him fight a couple times. He looks good. Very, very unorthodox. He throws a lot of punches, a lot of kicks, a lot of angles. But I would say 30 seconds into the fight, I said, someone's getting knocked out. Both of them's hands were really low. Hendricks' hands, they were about chest high, not covering his head, not very much at all. Thompson, even when they kind of got engaged, his hands stayed really, really low. But I would say that Thompson, lots of kicks, lots of different angles, spinning side kicks, lots of stuff going on with him. But his hands, when he was throwing punches, really, really accurate. Really surprised me. And Thompson got the win by knockout in the first. Really surprised me. I really, like I said, I thought Hendricks was going to get the win. Thought it'd be a really good fight. Again, really kind of different styles went on there, and Thompson, Wonder Boys they call him, got the win. It was a good fight. For what little time you had, to me, one of the worst fights ever. I then backed that up with a pretty decent fight again, on less than a round. But not bad stuff. And then kind of like the big news, kind of for me anyway, because I'd heard bits and pieces of this, and now official. UFC 197 is going to be on, I think it's March 5th, I believe. So we have to wait almost a month for this card. We're going to have the women's title, Miesha Tate versus Holly Holm, and I'm really excited about this fight. Miesha has had, I think, 2 or 3 title shots, not being able to get the win. Holly coming off that almost improbable knockout for many people against Ronda Rousey. And I thought Holly Holm had the kind of game that could give Rousey a lot of trouble, but I didn't expect her to get that win anyway. And I think Miesha is the kind of fighter that can give Holly a lot of trouble. I will not be surprised if Holly loses this fight. I, this is a fight that I actually like both fighters, so whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna be definitely be glued to that one. And then the headline on that one's gonna be Conor McGregor, the notorious Conor McGregor, against Rafael dos Anjos. 2 champions, 2 weight classes. It's going for me. This is gonna be exciting. I think this is just for Dos Anjos' belt. I don't think it's for McGregor's belt, which seems like to me they should put both belts up. But McGregor's moving up to Dos Anjos' weight, so should be interesting. But I thoroughly expect. I hate to say this because I'm not a huge fan. I expect McGregor will get that win, even though I'd rather have Dos Anjos winning. But just because McGregor, he's got quite the chip on his shoulder. But you know what? He's backed up everything he said. So you know what? When you're that good and you can back it up, you have every right to talk. So should be a great card. And again, that's almost a month away, so we got a long time to wait for that. But that's all the fights tonight. A lot of good stuff, some bad stuff, some really make me want to fall asleep stuff. But all in all, decent, not great card. But that's all I got tonight. You guys have an incredible day.